Hey everyone, New312 here. Thank you guys for clicking on this video. Last time, Keiichi completely fucking lost it and has basically done away with all of his emotions. And he's basically resigned himself. He's going to fucking kill someone. Which is fine by me. I don't give a shit. Hopefully he'll get caught and, get fucked in jail. I don't give a shit about him. He honestly could die for all I care. Anyway, without further ado, let's continue. Keiichi, are you alright? Rena, Mion, and Rika were looking at me. After me. Had I fallen to the floor? You surprised us. You suddenly fell down. Were you having a nightmare? You were moaning. Sure, nightmare. Shut it. Quit speaking at me like that. Squeaking at me like that. My friends gave a start and backed away. Oh, God. I am no longer Keiichi. What? Ren and the others, they exchanged glances, unsure of what to say, and stood confused for a few moments. Was that your voice, Keiichi? Of course it was. Rena gulped firmly and opened her mouth. For a second, Keiichi, your eyes were really scary. My eyes? Probably just a trick of the light. Don't waste my time. I'm not mistaken. I've never seen those kinds of eyes before. What were these guys talking about? They've all been too scared of me lately. You are Keiichi Maebara, right? What was Rena saying? Who else do I look like except Keiichi Maebara? The look I gave her seemed to speak quite eloquently to those irritated thoughts. She understood and quickly apologized. I'm sorry. Don't worry about it. I'm leaving. Fuck this class. He just punches out a window, just casually walks through it. I have to pay someone a visit. Emergency in D23, number 44. Probably one of those has to do with, Satogo's false report. June 18th, 1983. Abuse issues regarding Satogo Hojo. Urgent. Yep. We propose that Satogo Hojo must be taken into immediate custody based on the items below. One family situation. Life with an adoptive father who recently returned to Hinamizawa has already turned disastrous, and she is currently subject to unendurable physical and mental abuse from the father. To Child Consultation Center's response, a child probation officer was dispatched yesterday on the 17th from the Prefecture Welfare Office, but because of the 77 case, changed to continued coaching and cautionary action. Okay, no, this is what just happened. Unfortunately, the consultation office head does not properly understand the situation. 3. Status of concerned child. The child already appears to be suffering from an outbreak of something close to neurosis or manic depression. Fuck. Fucking caused her neurosis? Fuck. If her unstable prepubescent mind is negatively stimulated by stress, it will put her development of a healthy body and mind at risk. This cannot be allowed to continue from a humane standpoint. She's already fucked up. 4. Allegations made to the family court. Sorry about that. We propose, based on the above items, that Satogo Hojo should immediately be taken into protective custody. She should be secured temporarily under emergency allegations to the family court under Article 28. We request emergency coordination between all related agencies. Okay, so someone actually gives a fuck and thinks it actually is true. Fuku Shijo... whatever. D23, number 44, 1977. Okay, this is Satogo. Satogo Hojo... 6. Yeah, 7. Let's go with 7. Yeah, let's fuck it. 6 or 7. Resident Hinamitoa Shishibone. Consultation circumstances. Telephone SOS from child of child abuse. Abuse situation. Child claims she is being physically abused by her adoptive father. 3. Family structure. White circles marks abusers. Adoptive father, real mother, older brother, child in question. Adoptive father and a real mother entered family registry in 19 something. The child is the daughter of the mother's previous husband. 4. Child consultation center's response. On the day of the child's telephone consultation. I think, yeah, whatever. Oh, what the fuck is wrong with me? The center called the child's school and asked of her situation. On that day, the child welfare officer on duty visited the child's house and conducted an interview. The adoptive father sincerely listened to instruction and agreed to take child raising workshops in the city from now on. As part of the suggested coaching, the center will continue to observe the situation. 5 other notes. As a result of numerous counseling sessions at the city's education consultation office regarding the child, we learned that there was a high possibility the cause of the child's excessive distrust towards her adoptive father was the lack of a communication. The abuse she claimed hadn't actually taken place. She had made a false report to distance herself from her adoptive father. Below was a note written in pencil by the person on duty at the time. The problem appeared to be more than with the daughter. Chief Investigator F of the city's education consultation office said that most of her stories of abuse were likely fabrications. They decided to shift the focus of their coaching to the child. Be cautious not to take everything the child says as truth. Fuck, and that's why, even to this day, they will never take everything she says as cold, hard proof. It's fucked up. Mion and the others having to set up for the Watanagashi festival, or something, invited me along, but I refused. Of course I did. How could they be taking it easy and setting up the festival in a situation like this? Mion had a lot of nerve. Ah, fuck you. I don't like edgy Keiichi nearly as much as regular Keiichi, and I fucking hated regular Keiichi. The first thing I did when I got back was take a shower. Not because I wanted to wash off sweat. It was because I wanted to be even calmer. I thought he was going to say so he could clean up for the job. I already understood this, but killing that man would be so very easy. The really hard thing would be not getting arrested for it, so we could get our peaceful days back. As I thought about it, I realized it wasn't easy. Japan's police force have the highest arrest rate in the world. I would need to deceitfully pull off the perfect crime, and it couldn't be a half-hearted attempt. Still, it wasn't 100%. Even the best police force in the world couldn't have a 100% arrest rate. I've read a lot of articles on trial with people brought up on false charges. They do a lot to determine whether they really were false accusations, but figuring out who the real criminal was is usually out of the question. And that meant perfect crimes did exist. In fact, perfect crimes were sort of like works of art. They could even be respected and revered. You just had to look at the inundation of mystery novels everywhere throughout history. They dealt with all sorts of difficult to solve incidences involving secret rooms, alibis, and stuff. But they all wanted to show one thing. They wanted to show the beauty of a perfect crime. There was something divine in the flawlessness of the word perfect. Yes, perfect crimes were skills of the gods. In that sense, the serial freak deaths they were calling the curse of Oyashiro-sama, I understood they must have been the works of gods. Each one appeared to have been resolved, but they couldn't stop it from happening every year. Yeah, skills belonging only to gods, those are perfect crimes. And I would be setting up my own crime before Oyashiro-sama series of perfect crimes 4 years in the running. If I were to put it boldly, I was challenging a god. Foolhardiness would be needed to make the decision, but I need to be cool, calm, colder than ice to put that plan together. Kill him like a flame, but as systemic as ice. Starting now, I need to refrain both of these ideas within me. Modeling my crime after a mystery novel wasn't actually a bad thing to focus on. Sometimes kidnappings involving disturbing original methods that made it into newspapers were used as a basis for novels after the person was arrested. Stuff like that made it into the news, which would mean that it's already been solved, caught. They know what to do in that situation. Day and night, for a very long time, mystery novel authors polished and refined their most fantastic artistic crimes. Imitating that could be a shortcut to planning the perfect crime in a short period of time. Of course, I hadn't read enough mystery novels to act all high and mighty about them. The one who really liked mystery novels was my mom. She'd read every well-known mystery novel from overseas, from past and present. Every time she watched mystery shows, she would always criticize them as having cheap tricks or being poorly thought out. I wonder what the perfect crime would mean to her. Not getting caught, no evidence. That's a perfect crime. What do I think the most well-done perfect crime in all the mystery novels I've read is? Yeah. Well, you read quite a lot of them, right? I figured you might know a lot about them. It's more fun to read them to find out. If I told you all the tricks off the bat, they'd be no fun anymore. It wasn't like I was asking for my own amusement. She was deflecting the question, so I'd somehow butter her up first and draw out an answer. Of course, Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None is my top recommendation. God, that was such a good... I actually have read that book. That was a good book. That was a really good book. And Murder on the Orient Express used some great bold tricks too, of course. I didn't see it coming at all. I didn't want to know which novels you liked. I wanted to know about the trick that made you the most surprised. If it was really a perfect trick, the detectives wouldn't be able to solve the case, though. That was true. Then there'd be no point. Mystery novels are enjoyable because of the process of the mysteries getting solved. If it was unsolvable, it wouldn't make a very good topic for a novel. Actually, that would make it enjoyable for me. I get it. Yeah, you're right. If the main character can't solve it, it wouldn't be much of a story, huh? Was I being too simplistic? A mystery novel was basically a game. They were written so that you can get to the goal so that you could solve them. And I couldn't see you something so optimistic. I needed to be the be-all end-all of tricks so that we could, without a doubt, return to our old lives. By the way, Keiichi, do you understand that truly perfect crimes don't even become stories? Mom looked at me intellectually and grinned impishly, obviously, because if someone heard about it, then it's not perfect. I'd never gone to read it, but apparently one time long ago, Mom had written her own mystery novel and submitted it for some mystery novel award. Apparently she was really into it. Don't even become stories. What does that mean? Keiichi, what are the essential parts of a story? A beginning, a middle, and an end. It doesn't have a beginning, a middle, or an end, because a perfect... Well, actually, there is no end. For sure. But theoretically, if it's a perfect crime... There's no beginning, there's no middle, and also no end. You don't have anything. You have nowhere to start. You can assume this is what happened, but you will never know. Correct. The beginning, of course, is especially important. If there's no beginning, then the story never starts. Well, yeah. If nothing happened, nothing would begin. Right. Nothing happened, so there wouldn't even be an incident. Detectives wouldn't be called, so there wouldn't be any mystery. There'd be no mystery, so there would be no solution. In other words, it would be an ultimate perfect crime. Wait a second. Could you explain that again? My mom just told me something absurd. And she was saying it so smoothly too, so I kind of tuned her out, but she said something extremely important just now. It's not really that difficult to understand. The incident just has to never come to light, that's all. Just has to never come to light. And there's your perfect crime. For example, how about this? Say there's an old man living deep in a forest nobody goes into. Uh-huh. And one day the old man gets killed by an axe. And let's say this criminal was the old man's son. He went to the old man's house and they were drinking together, but they got into a fight and he killed him. What an extremely cheap plot. It was an impulsive crime without a bit of planning. It was pretty far from a perfect crime. No, it is perfect because no one goes up there. He killed him, he takes the axe, it's over. There's no proof he was there. Take the cup that you were drinking out of, and leave. So it doesn't look like he invited someone over. It's that easy. Ditch the axe. Ditch the bottle or cup you were drinking out of. But Keiichi, the house was really, really deep in this forest. So deep in the mountains that nobody would ever go out that far. Then his son would go back to town and say that the old man was doing fine. What about that as a perfect crime? Keiichi, this incident would only begin when it was found out that the old man was killed. If nobody ever visited the old man's house after that, the beginning would never occur. The beginning would never occur. There would be no investigation, no trial, nothing. So basically the story wouldn't start. The incident wouldn't come to light and they wouldn't call in detectives. And nobody would be suspicious in the first place, so there'd be no mystery. They'd think the old man was still living by himself deep in the forest. And the old man's face would appear in the sky and that would be it. Something like that, you know? That's amazing. That's a pretty great trick. But it wouldn't be a novel. Mystery novels are for entertainment, after all. They can't be instruction manuals for perfect crimes. I was trying hard to talk cheerfully to fool her, but inside I was excited. Special tools, strange geography, mysterious drugs, traps involving huge sums of money. None of them were needed for perfect crimes. The important thing was there wasn't a beginning. As long as the incident didn't come to light, it would be fine. Speaking broadly, if I could kill him without anyone finding out, and dispose of the corpse somewhere no one could find, it would basically already be a perfect crime. The dam construction site, the huge pile of garbage that gets tossed in there. Dump his body in there, under a pile of a bunch of rubble and garbage. It's whatever. One day they might find him, maybe. It might be just a skeleton, but there'd be no proof that anyone would have done it. His body would have been so decomposed that you can't even begin to find out who did it. Of course, if someone up and vanished one day all of a sudden, people would get suspicious. But that didn't apply to this man. Last year after their aunt died, he ran away from the village in fear of Oyashiro-sama. Then the night of Watanagashi came around again, everyone would have to think that he ran away in fear again. I mean, he had been living with a lover of his in town. No matter what it felt like when he vanished, no one would be suspicious. People hated him after all. No one would care where he went if he disappeared. When I thought about it like that, it got easier and easier to imagine killing him. There was no point in thinking inside my house anymore. I left getting my bike out of the garage. For now, it didn't matter where I was going. I just rode through the wind, trying to calm my excitement by feeling the cold air on my body. Where I'd kill him, how I'd do it, what time, and how to dispose of the corpse. If I just had those 4 things, I could get a good plan going. I was so surprised about how little there was to decide that I shivered. I'd been completely prepared to build this humongous plan over a really long period of time. But if I could just get these little things in order, I could put it into motion. Today was Saturday. I would have to kill him on the night of Watanagashi, so as long as I was standing in for Oyashiro-sama, I only had 24 hours remaining. Satoko, just hang on for 24 more hours. I can't even imagine having to suffer through even more, but please, hold out for a little longer. I know you can't even last another second, I know that. But please, just hold out. Your Nini will save you for sure. Outside, it was still early enough for the cicadas to be crying. Early afternoon. Evening was still a long way off. I looked at the sky. At some point it had gotten cloudy. Come to think of it, as I left house I heard on TV that the weather forecast was calling for a chance of rain on Sunday. The sky was the color of lead. If I heard a little bit of thunder, I'd definitely have expected a sudden evening shower. My first destination was school. Before explaining why I was going there, I needed to explain what method for killing that man I had decided upon. Yeah, fuck that fourth wall. I decided that the most subtle death, the one I needed to give him, was the same as last year's curse. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. Oh god. You didn't even have to finish that line where I knew it was going. He's gonna beat the shit out of him. The same as the punishment their aunt had received, being beaten to death. Wouldn't beating him to death be somewhat unreliable? You may think that stabbing him with a blade would be more reliable, but this was something I had chosen after a lot of thought. You just need to think realistically. The law had prohibited carrying any blade longer than 10 centimeters, I guess. I think. Yeah, but it's the fucking law. And plus 10 centimeters... that's a decent enough blade. It's like almost 4 inches. I mean, that's enough to kill him. If you're walking up behind him and just right in the throat, he's dead. He's going to die. You just need one slash across his throat and he's dead. There's nothing he can do about it. Even modern medicine wouldn't be able to help him. So the blades available to me, though long enough, were limited to things shorter than a ruler. You can probably understand how tricky it would be with such a short reach to go up against an opponent that might fight back. Are you fucking kidding me? Any kind of blade, I'm like, oh fuck no. No thank you. Because he's not like a trained, like, hand-to-knife combat dude. In that case, using a weapon with reach would be far more effective. Might not have the same precision, but you just have to hit the guy until you've killed him. Both the options resulted in death. With that settled, what is the weapon with the most terrifying force behind it that is also easy to carry around? Fucking baseball bat. By this point, you should immediately think of a metal baseball bat. I think wood. Because wood's way better. Because nothing's more satisfying than breaking a wooden bat. Oh, especially if you fucking broke it over his head. He's dead, for one thing, because the amount of force required to break like an oak bat. Oh, fuck. And then, plus, if it splinters off in something sharp, then you can start, like, actually stabbing him with it. If you really felt like it. If it'll sharp enough, of course. I don't need to explain how terrifying a metal baseball bat can be as a weapon. Of special note is the fact that you can carry one around in broad daylight and not be thought of as suspicious. Or if you go with Rena and just carry around an axe all day and, you know, people don't think anything of the wiser. Just do that. Just those 2 points would have been enough to choose a metal bat for my weapon. But there was one more. One more reason for choosing a metal bat in particular. I'll speak about it later. Fuck you. Stop using this fourth wall bullshit, come on. Unless he's like insane and literally talking to himself. Which I wouldn't be surprised if he was. Because I think he snapped. Like, that whole classroom thing, he snapped. He's gone. After school that Saturday, my classmates were still having fun playing in the schoolyard. I could show up there and it would be the same as always, so nobody will think I'm suspicious. Getting my hands on the weapon without looking suspicious was actually a factor I couldn't ignore. I didn't normally play baseball, so I went to a sports store looking for a metal bat. It would definitely be suspicious. I can't let there be a beginning to the story, so I needed to be really careful even about that. But you did play a baseball game already, so you can just say, you know what? I decided I feel like joining baseball now. After doing the deed, stay with baseball for a couple weeks and then drop it. You know, that kind of thing. That left school. At a location at which my appearance wouldn't be suspicious, I would acquire the weapon. I checked inside the classroom through the window, but of course there was nobody there. The only students who would stay in there were me and the others when doing club activities. Without us, the classroom after school was just an empty, unused room. Without glancing around nervously, as I had just gone to get something I'd forgotten, I casually went to the entrance. It looked like the teacher was busy with paperwork in the teacher's lounge. I didn't see her in the hallway. Naturally, yet quickly as a shadow, I entered the classroom. The empty room was full of strange, stagnant air that you couldn't feel normally. An empty room with nobody here. Maybe while no one was around, the desks creep about on their own accord, looking the floors clean of dirt. What? If I suddenly stepped into a place like that, would the desk and their surprise fly at me, crush my bones, and eat me alive? What the fuck is wrong with you? That's ridiculous. I felt regret at wasting valuable thinking time on stupid delusions. The students' lockers were lined up in the back of the classroom. The one I was looking for wasn't my own. It was a forbidden locker. One I had accidentally discovered one day. Here it is. Hojo. This has to be it. If one person has one locker, then why would only Satoko have two? I'd made a fuss about it once. After that, I learned it was Satoshi's locker, and he had the same last name as her. But of course, even though it was a locker for a student no longer here, looking inside it was still a shameless act. But one time I let my curiosity get the better of me and took a peek inside. Inside it was an average and worthless. At the time I hadn't been interested, so until now I had forgotten what had been in it. But now that I had, dare I say it, awakened, I remembered the thing that had been here. Scrape. I opened the locker, and a stench of mold and sweat wafted out like a gym storehouse that hadn't been cleaned in weeks. My face puckered up at the stench, but I looked for it. Yes. Satoshi was on Coach's baseball team, the metal baseball bat from the first game, which led to the death of Mion and Rena. Or at least I assume Mion and Rena. It could have been Shion and Rena. Unless they want to pull that Rena has a twin as well, because at that point, I don't know what to think. Inside the locker was a Hinamizawa's fighter's uniform, and it. The one Satoshi used, the metal bat. Yes, this was the reason I wanted to choose the bat. This murder would be carried out by me, but those whose originally my role, it was Satoshi's, wasn't originally my role. But I should stand in for him and call myself Satoko's Nini. It was one of the rules for standing in for him. I reached for the metal bat and grasped it firmly. It was light, and yet its tip had enough heft in it, enough to easily imagine the horror if I brought it down with all my might. Satoshi, I'll give you one last chance to save your sister. Lend me your strength. You're a coward, but I will stand in for you. So if you still care or not, even a little bit about her, you will lend me your strength. There's no more suitable weapon in the world for putting that man to death than your bat. Now I just need to figure out where to hide it. Tomorrow, before the act, I would just stop by the school and grab it. Because I couldn't ignore the possibility someone would see me bringing it home and think it was strange. But if I left it here, there wouldn't be a problem. Plus tomorrow was Sunday. Not only that, it was the biggest day of the festival in the whole village. Nobody would be coming to school. I left out of the entrance and went over to a construction vehicle park nearby. We'd been warned by our teachers not to touch it just for laughs, so none of the kids would come near the vehicle either. They wouldn't, because if she found out they touched it, they'd be in huge trouble. I quietly hid in the shadow of the vehicle. The chances of someone operating the vehicle tomorrow were slim to none, because tomorrow was Sunday. Government workers had the day off. And from what my classmates had said, the thing had been left here for years now. Machines that haven't been moved in years, you can't just suddenly start them up again. So I was almost definitely fine in this case. The sunlight was piercingly hot. My head grew faint for a moment. Had the heat been this harsh for the entire day? No, it hadn't been. A moment of dulled thoughts like this was a moment of carelessness. I gave myself a couple hits in the head, then looked around warily. Okay. Next, how to dispose of the corpse. Fuck. This is getting, really dark. Really fucking dark. I'm reading someone's fucking last will and testament. I mean, Jesus Christ.